Just want to tell people that, yes, John witnessed this, and he is the one who said that this train simply did not stop. It went right through the wall and into the reception area of the train station. But John, seeing this, and so many other people, as we're looking at this video, witnessed that train coming through. But again, as he said, people are shaken up, as is he. John, are you on still with us?
And right, the train simply did not stop. And what it was, it's similar to a situation in which you try and change a gear, and the gear gets stuck, and it would not stop.
John, as far as injuries, did you see? I know you say you're okay. Did you see other injuries around you, or when you were exiting the train, were you able to kind of ascertain the situation and see if many people were hurt?
No. What happened is, as soon as I saw the thing crash, I did the best I could and the people that I was with, it was a mad scramble just to get out of there. And as soon as I exited, I wanted to get out as quick as possible.
John, what was if you describe the situation? Was it mass panic, mass hysteria there? Were people running? Was the terminal quickly smoke filled? Were people running for cover? What was it like? What did you see?
It sounded like an explosion, but I don't. It was more the contact as it hits the. It didn't stop. The train did not stop, and it was mass confusion. And the people that I was with, whoever they may have been, it was just a mad scramble to get away from the scene.
And was it very crowded, John, on that platform when you were in the station?
Oh, it's crowded. It's morning drive. And the trains are obviously, full at that time in the morning.
John, if you could, I know you weren't keeping a watch on it, but as far as the response time for people to get there, for help to quickly get to the people that needed it, whether it on the platform or the train, how quickly would you say people jumped into action? And did other passengers, other commuters, were they able to jump in and help others, either trapped on the train or on the platform?
From people that I have talked to, there were people that were trying to grab people that were on the train and to grab them and get them off to safety. I do know as I scrambled to get away from the terminal, the response was very quick. And walking up towards Frank Sinatra Park in Hoboken.
And John, can you give us an idea of those moments when this happened? Was there any warning of something happening, something going wrong? Were there any initial sounds that maybe could have warned people to get out of the way? I mean, give us an idea as to exactly what happened at that very time that this train came through.
It happened so quick. I mean, was there a situation that people could look up and see that this train was not going to stop? Perhaps, but something like this happens. Very quick. The train would not stop.
John, how shaken up are you right now after seeing something like this and being so close to it?
I'm shook up. I'm shook up, and legs are wobbly, and things like that. And to me, it's hard to believe I saw something like this.
Was that basically a sentiment shared by other people around you? Was there just kind of this incredulous feeling of like, I cannot believe a train has just crashed through the platform?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what other people, have thought. I just hope that everyone's all right.
Yeah, certainly. Of course, we're thinking about everybody at this time. And, we're looking at some pictures, John, as we're talking to you of the mangled metal and the debris that fell from the ceiling. When you were trying to get out, was there a concern or could you see anything or additional damage that was being done? Because we understand the roof caved in and the integrity of the entire roof is now in question. So I was just curious as to whether...
whether it be a pillar or the support system and the roof, the question is, how deep it went into the reception area. That would be, something that would be a question.
John, just looking at the pictures, the force with which this train hit the platform, it just looked as though it would be a devastating situation, whether on the plane or on the train rather, or waiting to get on the train. We thank you for obviously being in a safe enough spot to be able to give us your first-hand account. Anything else you want to share with us before we kind of let you calm yourself down and get on with your day?
No, it was a harrowing experience.
Yeah. Well, John, we're glad that you're doing okay, and wow, what a morning. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us. We really appreciated a very difficult morning for so many people at the Hoboken train station. I mean, we're hearing from John Minko, sportscaster over at WFAN, saying that it sounded like an explosion, and that there was just this mad scramble to get out of the train station, and that it was crowded in that station this morning, of course, in the middle of rush hour.
Hey, John, just real quickly before we let you go, just one more, since you were there to witness this, was as soon as this train hit, did everybody, for the most part, other than the people that did try to assist some of the people on the train, did everyone know well enough to just basically turn and run, find the quickest exit? Because I'm sure, I don't know how many contingency plans there are for something like this, whether the emergency exits are located right there, but did everyone pretty much kind of keep their wits about them and get out of there in a somewhat orderly fashion?
Yeah, I think that's the people knew they had to get away and as quick as possible. I think that you're right on that.
And John, I know you said your legs are a little wobbly right now, and this is a traumatic experience for you. We're looking at some live pictures right now of people assembled outside the terminal right now, not only first responders, but it looks to be passengers and whatnot. Did anyone ask you if you were okay, if you needed any type of medical care? Do you have to stick around, or have they basically just kind of allowed you to leave the site and make your way into work?
Since of the immediacy, I was able to get away and get away, a little bit a ways from the terminal. Mm-hmm. I did not want to, go back there or near there, because people had to take care of what they needed to take care of.
John, thank you very much. As we continue to take a look at these chopper pictures from News 12 New Jersey, and we can see the first responders there out in the parking lot, and we're taking a closer look as best we can to give you a really good sense of how many people are there, whether the injured might still be on the scene or whether they have gone now to the hospitals, local hospitals. But we do see a number of ambulances there right next to this station at this time.
John, thanks again for taking the time. We're glad you're okay, and we'll hear you on the radio later on today. But thanks, John Minko from WFAN.
Thank you so much.